Hey guys, it's Ollie and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Exploring Exotics. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to get some hard water stains off of your enclosure glass. So for reptile, amphibian, and invertebrate keepers, a really big struggle if you have hard water like me is keeping your glass nice and clear. And while this calcium buildup usually doesn't pose any kind of threat to the animal, it is an eyesore. So I actually have a couple of spare enclosures. I just have them on hand. They don't hold anything yet, but they might soon, so I want to go ahead and get them cleaned up. So to really understand what is going on with these water stains, let's talk about pH balance. I will have a table of contents in the description if you just want to skip to how to clean it, that's totally fair. So the pH scale is 1 through 14, 1 being the most acidic, 14 being the most basic or alkaline. I know that sounds backwards, it'll be a little bit confusing, and the middle being neutral at 7. So why is that important? So the calcium that is going to be on this buildup has a high pH, which means that it is extremely alkaline. But that also means that it becomes water soluble when you introduce an acid, which brings us to our next point of picking what chemical you want to use. So there are essentially 4 choices. Snake Discovery actually did an amazing video comparing these. If you want to go check that out, I'm going to put it in one of these corners. It helped me a lot with understanding all of this. So your first option, and one that I've never tried and probably won't because of the video that I just talked about, is hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide having a pH of 4 to 5, so pretty close to that neutral, and it does clean up some, but not nearly enough. The next one is sulfuric acid, which is usually in some kind of pH down. I do have pH decrease, however, this is not sulfuric acid, this is actually citric acid. We'll talk about that in just a second. So sulfuric acid has a pH of 2.75. And then you have another one that I have, which is distilled white vinegar. You want the 5 or 6%. I have 5 because I cannot find 6% like anywhere where I live. Depending on if you get 5 or 6% acidity for your distilled white vinegar, your pH will be between 2 and 2.5. And then you have lemon juice, which is also citric acid. A lot of people just use lemon juice. I do have that. I just happen to have this, which is, like I said, citric acid. So it should be about the same, sitting at around 2 on the pH scale. I have only ever used distilled white vinegar. I've never used citric acid or pH decrease, so this is going to be a new one for me. So now that you've picked your chemical, let's go on to what else you're going to need. You're going to need just some water. Distilled water is going to work best for the sheer fact that you're not going to be getting that hard water back on your surface. You are going to want some razor blades. If you are a kid, please get an adult to help you with this, and please be careful not to hurt yourself. I would also only recommend using really sharp new razors. If you use a dull razor, it will have little cuts in your glass, possibly even big cuts in your glass, and it makes it a lot easier to damage yourself. I know that sounds backwards, but a dull razor is a lot easier to slip and to injure yourself. And you're going to want a sponge, specifically with that green scouring pad. And lastly, just some paper towel or something to wipe it off. And now that we've gone over all of the pH, you've picked your chemical, and you have all of your other supply, let's go ahead and get right into cleaning your enclosure. So I'm going to start out with distilled white vinegar. The first thing I do is go over the entire thing with a razor blade. You're going to want to try to keep it straight and put some light pressure on it, but not enough to cause any damage. When using the razor blade, you are going to want to be very careful to not nick the silicone, especially if you have something aquatic like a turtle or a fish. But if you do mess up the silicone badly enough to need replacing, you can replace it. There are tons of tutorials here on YouTube for that, so I just recommend going and seeking those out. This does get up a good amount of the calcium buildup and does a really good job at doing a base cleanup. The first thing I do is use a spray bottle to make even layers of the distilled white vinegar on the wall. After this, I lightly scrub it with the scouring pad to get any remaining residue off. Before wiping it down, I do let it sit for 1 minute. And after 1 minute is up, I wipe it down with a paper towel. And I did do another once over with the razor blade just to get it extra clean. And then I repeated on all sides of the enclosure. And then I do nearly the exact same thing with the citric acid. But then when we got to the citric acid part, I actually put it directly on the scouring pad and kind of saturated it and then wiped down the enclosure. There was really no reason for this. You could use a spray bottle, I assume, with the citric acid, and you could just pour the distilled white vinegar onto the scouring pad as well. It doesn't really make a difference. It's just what I happened to do today. And then once again, left it for 1 minute, wiped it down with a paper towel, and then went over it once again with a razor blade. After they are both wiped down, I did finish cleaning them in the sink with distilled water. I just didn't film it because I didn't want to get my camera that close to the water. I hope you understand. Alright, and so I have rinsed them with the distilled water and let them set for a little bit to dry. Overall, I mean, they both did pretty good. I still kind of think the vinegar did better. I will say that this should be good to go if it's for like a reptile. It's been airing out all day. It was rinsed out really well. So I wouldn't really worry about any of the residue still being harmful at all. So this would be good to go if it was for a reptile. I will say for amphibians and inverts, since they are more sensitive to the distilled white vinegar, and I would assume the citric acid, I'm not for sure on that one. But to be safe, especially with amphibians, I would just stay away from putting them in here right away. These have been airing out all day, like I said, but I would still give it maybe 2 or 3 days until you would put something in here again. And with that being said, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Let me know if you have any better methods of cleaning up that hard water stains that is still animal safe. Don't forget to leave this video a like for the algorithm. All of my links, including my Instagram account, my art Instagram account, my Facebook group, my wife and I's Etsy, will all be linked in the description down below. I upload every single Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, one week being pet related, like this week's video, and the other week being more educational animal videos. So if you're interested in either of those, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell if you don't want to remember all of that. And as always, I will see you guys next week. Bye.